Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced on Saturday, June 14, that Israel's recent military operations against Iran had dealt a substantial blow to the country's nuclear ambitions. According to Netanyahu, the precision airstrikes conducted by Israeli forces have significantly disrupted Iran's nuclear program, potentially setting it back by several years. This, he claimed, marked a turning point in Israel's efforts to neutralize what it perceives as an existential threat posed by Iran's nuclear capabilities. In a strongly worded video statement, Netanyahu emphasized that the campaign was far from over. He issued a stark warning to Iran's leadership, stating that the military actions undertaken so far were merely a prelude to what lies ahead. "We will hit every site and every target associated with the Ayatollahs regime," he said. "What they have experienced up to now is only a small fraction of the power we are prepared to unleash in the coming days." Netanyahu also highlighted that the Israeli military was actively targeting and dismantling Iran's ballistic missile production infrastructure. He suggested that by degrading Iran's ability to produce and deploy long-range missiles, Israel was not only weakening Tehran's offensive capabilities but also sending a clear signal of deterrence. This escalation comes amid heightened tensions in the region following a series of tit-for-tat strikes between Israel and Iranian-aligned forces. Netanyahu's remarks reflect a broader Israeli strategy aimed at preventing Iran from reaching a nuclear weapons threshold and curbing its regional military influence. The Prime Minister's comments are likely to draw international attention and concern, particularly from global powers seeking to avoid a wider conflict in the Middle East. While Israel maintains that its actions are defensive and necessary for national security, critics warn that continued escalation risks sparking a broader regional war. The Chief of Staff of the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, declared that Israel is paving the way to Tehran, signaling the growing intensity and strategic direction of Israel's military campaign against Iran. His remarks, delivered in a video from a central Israeli Air Force base, emphasized that the current operations are not isolated strikes but part of a long-prepared, far-reaching military strategy targeting the heart of Iran's power. The IDF also released footage of General Zamir inspecting Israeli fighter jets and personnel, underscoring the readiness and resolve of the Israeli military apparatus. Adding, "Reaching Tehran represents a major milestone in our military capabilities," he said, suggesting that Israel's campaign is aimed not just at tactical damage, but at undermining Iran's core command and control centers. This statement came as Israel extended its offensive into a second consecutive day, following a wave of precision airstrikes that reportedly decimated the upper leadership of Iran's military command. The Israeli government has indicated that the operation will continue to escalate in intensity, aiming to degrade Iran's military infrastructure and deter future threats. In response, Iran announced it was withdrawing from nuclear negotiations, which had been tentatively facilitated by Washington as a last diplomatic channel to prevent full-scale conflict. Tehran's decision marks a sharp escalation in the standoff, effectively closing the door on diplomatic solutions, at least in the short term, and raising concerns of a broader regional war. Large crowds gathered in Tehran to pay tribute to senior military leaders and nuclear scientists killed during an Israeli airstrike that took place early Friday morning. The attack, described as one of Israel's most extensive operations in Iran to date, continued into Saturday and marked a dramatic escalation in the ongoing hostilities. The Israeli military reportedly targeted and eliminated a significant portion of Iran's top military leadership, including at least 20 high-ranking commanders, among them Major General Amir Ali Hajizadeh, head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force, according to two regional sources cited by Reuters. In addition to military sites, Israeli strikes also appeared to hit infrastructure related to Iran's energy sector for the first time. Iranian state media reported a fire at a natural gas field, suggesting that oil and gas facilities may have been among the new targets. Meanwhile, Iranian officials claimed that 60 civilians were killed in a residential area, as the Israeli government confirmed it had carried out attacks on more than 150 locations across the country. Amid this intensifying conflict, French President Emmanuel Macron announced on social media that he had spoken with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, urging him to return to nuclear negotiations with the United States. These talks, which had been scheduled for Sunday, were abruptly cancelled following the Israeli bombardments. However, sentiment on the ground in Tehran was far from supportive of renewed diplomacy. Many attendees at the memorial rally voiced opposition to restarting dialogue with the U.S., expressing anger and grief over the losses inflicted by the strikes. With Israeli officials warning that their military campaign may stretch on for weeks and openly calling on the Iranian public to rise up against the ruling clerics, fears are mounting that the conflict could escalate into a broader regional war, potentially involving global powers and destabilizing the wider Middle East.